Good morning, or afternoon, wherever you are. It's morning here. Welcome to the Spiritual Warrior YouTube Live. I go live every Tuesday at 8:30, and we talk about different topics related to what it means to be a spiritual warrior. And basically, what it means to be a spiritual warrior in this day and age is to be able to show up in courage, show up in truth, uh, show up and be visible, be able to ask the hard questions, be able to be in the to learn how to be a leader during this time of great change and this shift in consciousness. All right, so today we're going to be talking about emotional addiction, and hopefully some more people will come on as we're doing this. It's hard. Sometimes there's a lot of people, sometimes there's not. But we're going to be talking about emotional addiction. And so what I mean by emotional addiction is someone brought this term up to me the other day, and it really, really landed with me because so this is how I interpreted the emotional addiction, where we have, pardon me, if there are certain emotions that you cycle through often. So let's take for example anxiety. Now I know that there is anxiety that is triggered by trauma. I absolutely know that. I've been working with people for a very long time. I've had my own anxiety. I understand it, and I understand that depression, anxiety, worry, um, all of these things often come from trauma. They often come from trauma or unchecked healing. And then what ends up happening is we end up getting into a habit around those things because it becomes habitual. I have a response and then I'm going to go anxiety. I have something happens and then I go to depression and I go down to self-pity and I feel this. These things are like this chain of events, and it often starts from trauma or some sort of upset. Now, where the emotional addiction piece comes in, let me just give you a personal example. So I hired a money coach. She was like a financial coach last year. And I wanted her to help me with my relationship with money because my pattern around money has been like, I don't see it, like completely ignore it. I grew up with extremely wealthy grandmother, but my father, who was working in a slaughterhouse when he died. So we she had this extreme wealth that she held over everyone, but we lived in extreme poverty. Like I'm talking extreme, like the lights would go off all the time from lack of paying the electric bill. Like I said, we lived in trailer parks. He died and killed himself when he was working at a slaughterhouse. He didn't do it there, but that's what his job was. I mean, that's just awful and extreme poverty. So I have all these money stories. I'm working through them, but I had a lot of money stories. And one of the biggest money stories I had was that money caused harm. That was a story I had from my experience of childhood. So cut to today, my entire pattern has been, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I don't care. I don't care. Like I'll set up auto pay for my bills. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to look at it. It doesn't work. So I hired a money coach, and what we discovered was, and this was the emotional addiction piece for me. What we discovered was I was addicted. I am still addicted because I'm working through it. The anxiety around money, meaning I could have $10 million in the bank. Seriously. And I would look at it and I would still have anxiety. Or I would I can go into complete dissociation. Like, oh, I have $10 million in the bank. I'm good. I don't have to think about it. I'm good. Then I could flip to, oh my gosh, went down to $9 million. And I'm in this anxiety, like there's not going to be enough, what's going to happen. And what we discovered was, and this really rang true for me, was I was more addicted to the feeling than I was to like attached to the actual trauma around the money. And here's why. The anxiety and all of that drama around money gave me a charge. And not only did it give me a charge, what it also did, and here's the thing when it comes to any kind of addiction, is it takes you off of your center. So if I'm in anxiety around money, let's say, right? Oh my God, what's gonna happen? Then I'm in completely distracted. I am completely dissociated because I'm not really dealing with what's at hand, which is money. I'm dealing with my reaction around money and all that comes with the reaction. And that can be very, very addictive because, especially if there's something that you are avoiding in your life, for me, it's this money thing. If I'm in anxiety, then I'm completely avoiding that thing. So, of course, I'm going to want to go to the anxiety because it's going to perpetuate the distraction. And we do this all the time. I see it all the time with people. All the time, right? The depression, the anxiety, the worry is the emotion, let's say. But what the emotion actually does is take us out of our divinity. It takes us away from our divine light. It takes us away from who we are. Now, I'm not talking about like if there is something that happens in your life and you grieve it. That's very different. We have to feel feelings, we feel anger, we feel grief, we feel all of that. But when we have a pattern of always returning again and again and again to the same emotion and the same reaction, and we end up having the same result from that, it might be, and I don't know, you can look at it for yourself, that you might be addicted to that emotion. Let's say that you worry a lot. Oh my gosh. And I get that because I'm a recovering worry addict. Let's say that you worry a lot. Are you addicted to that feeling of what worry does for you? And it may be so super unconscious that, because if you're in the energy of worry, so to speak, you're in the energy of worry. Again, you're not in your divinity. You are not in your power. And so it's like this thing that keeps pulling you out of who you are. Just like if you were to engage or smoke pot or take a drink of alcohol, you're in the vibration of that substance. And it's the same with emotion, especially if it's a repetitive motion that you go to. I know that all of you, or I'm sure you know someone who loves to go to self-pity. Or let's say you have an interaction with them, some sort of conflict or something, and they go to self-pity. And all of a sudden you're not talking about, hey, let's talk let's be mature, let's talk this out. This is how I felt when this happened. And they go to, oh my God, everybody always is so mean to me and hates me, and oh, my life is so hard. All of a sudden you're dealing with their self-pity. All of a sudden you're dealing with that instead of you're dealing with what's at hand and working through it. And so the self-pity in that person, if that person diverts to that, they've learned how to manipulate by going there. Probably what started as a little kid. Like if I collapse and start crying, then I'm not going to be in as much trouble. So they've learned through trial and error, oh, this works. Okay, I'm going to go to collapse. I'm going to go to self-pity, and then people will feel sorry for me, and then I don't have to deal with the thing that they're upset about. That's an emotional addiction. That is using something to get your way. And again, these things can be incredibly on a deeply subconscious level. So what I'll leave you with today is really thinking about the emotions. Like I shared for you, mine is anxiety around money. I think I'm still addicted to it. Like I'm addicted to that feeling of anxiety around having enough money or not having enough money. It doesn't even matter. Like I said, I could have $10 million in the bank and I would still have anxiety around money. Now, there's trauma around money, as I shared, but I've worked through a lot of that. And especially those of you who say, and I've used this before, why does this keep coming up? I've healed that. I've worked on that. I've done the deep shamanic work. I've done the deep hypnosis work. I've done the deep psychological work on this. But this pattern and this feeling still keeps coming up. So a real powerful question to ask yourself is, are you addicted to the feeling? Gossip is another one. People are really addicted to gossip. Why? Why? It's a charge. Like, it's a huge charge to gossip. And two, you feel this kind of like fake intimacy with someone when you're gossiping. It's like, oh, we both are in on this thing. So it's got this charge and it's got this seduction to it. So people can get very addicted to gossip because it feels good. It feels like you're connecting to someone else and it has a charge. And this goes with anything. So looking at an emotion, and if you've healed, going back to, I thought I've healed this, why does this keep coming up? Maybe really looking at the habit you formed around that emotion. So for me, as an ex-addict and alcoholic, someone who drank and did a lot of drugs, I was really addicted to drama. It was not even just the drugs, it was the rush of the drama. So whenever there is a drama in my life, it's like, oh, how did I create this? And how am I getting off on this, so to speak? And how is this emotion and all this drama keeping me away from my power, from my divinity, from God, from Christ consciousness, from all of that? If we think about the news preys on our emotions, fear. People, they don't realize it, are addicted to fear. Some people are highly addicted to fear. It's a charge. It's a charge, and it's a whole construct of emotion. So if we're in fear, then we're not addressing what's really going on with us. And the news, the mainstream media, the media knows this. They know this. So they prey on that. Why do you think they tell so many stories? If it bleeds, it leads, right? Remember that whole thing? Like, journalists are taught, if it bleeds, it leads. So if you have a story that's dramatic and awful, you put it on the front page because it draws people in and people get a dopamine hit. Even if the dopamine hit is around fear, it's a rush to the brain. So we're in it. We're in the story. Oh God, this guy murdered his kids. I want to know about that. I mean, I personally don't want to know about that, but so it draws us in. Horror movies, all of these things prey on these emotions. So again, I'm going to leave you with really looking at, what emotions do you cycle into again and again? And I'm not talking about feeling. Something happens, you get sad, you grieve it. That's a different story. Something happens, you feel violated, you work through your anger, and then you're there, right? You're working back towards center. But if you have these emotions that you kind of go to all the time, or often enough, that take you off of your center, and you feel like you've healed the source of it, it's a great question to ask yourself, maybe I'm in this habit. Maybe I'm so used to going to anger so easily that I'm actually kind of addicted to the rush of anger. Maybe I'm actually addicted to the power, the false power that anger gives me. Maybe I've learned as a kid that when I get really pissed off, then I can get out of trouble because my parents didn't want to deal with my tantrum. So I've learned how to do that as an adult as well. So just be in curiosity about it. And here we are going into 2023, and we're going to be asked to go into more mastery, to return back to, again and again and again, your divine power, your divinity, who you truly are. The emotions, especially if they're in reaction or pattern, are not who we are. You are what you think. You are what you think you are. And for me, I am really looking at this too. I am really looking at, where am I emotionally addicted? Like I shared with the money. I know I'm addicted to that rush. I know it. Social media is another one. I'm not addicted. Well, I go on there, but I don't think I'm addicted. But people get addicted to that. Oh my God, this person said this, and then I can comment, and I can get a rush out of commenting, and then I can wait for their comment back to me. And then there's this whole game going on. Everyone's on a dopamine high, and we're going through all of this. So it's just fascinating. But for yourself, watch it so that, and here is a great question. Is this emotion that I continuously go to bringing me closer to myself or further away from myself? So for me, I love drama. I kind of still love drama. I do and I don't. But if I create drama in my life, is this drama bringing me closer to myself or further away from myself? Most likely is bringing me further away. So I'm going to leave you with that. Have an amazing day and be mindful. Just watch where you go. And it's not about beat up, it's about curiosity so that we can continue to be masterful, so that we can continue to be led back to the divine, back to the light, and become less distracted by whatever's going on the outside. This is where the true peace comes in. And I'm working on it right beside you. All right. Oh, hey, Barbara. I'm just looking at the comments. Hi. Oh, hey, Jasmine. I don't know if you're still here. Hi, Maria. Yeah, totally. It's so fascinating. Emotional addiction. All right. Have an amazing day. Hi, Janet. Oh, Janet Lynn, nice to see you all. Have an amazing Tuesday. And I will be back here next Tuesday at 8:30 Pacific. And I'm also, if you are on my email list, today we are having a client roundtable. Basically, people are going to, I'm going to have 5 women come on and talk to you about what they created when they were in the 7-month spiritual warrior program. I'm talking books have been created, published, and they're doing like amazing things, businesses. And if you come to it, it's free. It's at noon Pacific. If you're on my email list, you've been invited. If you're not on my email list and you want that, I'll put the link here in YouTube. And we're going to leave time for 2 people to come up. So if you want to get a spiritual hot seat, so to speak, and talk about what it is that you would like to create in 2023, and this could be a project or a dream that you've always wanted to do, but you've never felt like you could, or you've held yourself back, or maybe it's something you already started and you haven't completed it. Sorry about my dog. And you want support on that. We're going to have time for 2 people to come up and get spiritually hot seated so that I can support you and the women that are going to be on the panel can support you. But you've got to be there live today to do it. So it starts at noon. Yes, noon Pacific till 1:00 Pacific. And I'll put the link in the chat. And I also sent out an email last night and this morning. And this is the first time we've ever done this. And it's going to be really inspiring to hear what people are creating. Okay. All right. I'll talk to you soon.